What's good, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Cover One Film Room, the show that gives you the hows and the whys behind both the good and the bad of the Buffalo Bills. I am one of your two hosts, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner. And Eric, ironically, for Disguised Coverage last night, I accidentally started to do this intro. I was like, I am one of your two. And I was like, this isn't the film room. I screwed up already.
It's because
Eric,
they lost. All right. It's because they lost this week. It's throwing everything off.
I know. Everything's out of whack. We're out of rhythm. The Bills suffered their first loss of the season to the New England Patriots. Rivalry jerseys, the whiteout, the atmosphere was cool, but unfortunately the Bills came away from that game with a loss. There was some ugliness attached to it, also some good that was attached to it. And as we do here, as we mention every week in that lead-in, we're going to dive into and dissect in detail the hows and the whys behind both the good and the bad from this game and put a bow on it. But Eric, before we do that, how you doing? How you feeling? How's it going?
For some odd reason, with the loss behind us now, the first loss of the year, I'm kind of excited about this film room, man. I think there's some really good silver linings from that loss. I know it's a loss against a division opponent, but I think there's some really good silver linings that we're going to try to pluck out and show you guys with some of this film. But we're also going to analyze some of the mistakes that were made, especially we're talking on the offensive side of the ball. Kay Amori says in the chat, oh no, do we have to fire everybody again?
That's where we're at.
After losses, that's exactly what happens. That voice on social media gets a lot louder, which is why we're happy that Amori and others that are joining us right now are in the Insiders Discord channel, because it's kind of like a safe haven where there's like rationality after losses, right? And some actual discussion and healthy discussion. Not the name calling and stuff that I see in the comments of our YouTube shows, on X and other social media. But with that said, it sucks. They lost. It was a close game, but I'm excited about this. It was obviously a loss because of the Bills' inability to, not take penalties, not create, mistakes, talking turnovers, boneheaded plays. It was just sloppy. And for most of the game, if we're starting on the offensive side of the ball, they were behind the chains. They were behind the 8-ball. They were chasing their own tail in many ways. And that didn't allow them to get on track, to stay ahead of the chains, show some stability, and really lean into the identity that got them here. Again, penalties, turnovers, and they couldn't run the ball like they had in prior weeks. We're going to talk about why behind that, but it was just really ugly when you're talking about, for the first few weeks, how that identity was getting solidified and they were just doing what they wanted, but they met a very good defense. When we're talking offense versus defense from the Patriots, and the Patriots put up a good fight in the pass and run game and really, put the Bills behind the 8-ball again and behind the sticks.
Yeah. And the Pats have some good dudes, especially on that defensive side of the ball. Like, Gonzalez coming back, and him and Carlton Davis are a cool corner duo. Marcus Jones is like a fun nickel. They have some interchangeability between their safeties, but then you go up front, and I think everybody knows everyone knows more Milton Williams because of what he did with Philly. Yeah. But I thought Barmore was really flying under the radar for a lot of folks because he was out last year with the blood clots or whatever, but he was starting to get to like top tier status inside, and he's still working back, but he's a handful. Milton Williams was good. Harold Landry looks like a completely revitalized player. I don't know if it's getting back with Vrabel or what, but like Tennessee people were all like, he's done, he's washed, and all of a sudden he's a game wrecker again this year with Vrabel, especially in this game. Tonga looked good on the interior.
I think he's going to be a big problem for the Bills offense.
Literally inside, literally and figuratively.
Literally, his size, his ability to anchor, his power. They basically said, okay, we know what plays you want to run out of certain formations. We're talking maybe 3 tight ends here. Mid zone's coming. Everyone knows it's coming. No one could really stop it the first few weeks.
No,
they put Tonga in that cutback lane. So they didn't put him to the side that James starts out to. They put him at the cutback lane, and he was just handling the interior offensive lineman. So I thought they have a great blend of power and strength. They have a great blend of 1 and 2 gapping, interchangeability up front, and then that athleticism, whether you're talking on the edge along the D line or the edge of the defense, but also, like you said, outside. They're going to be a problem defensively for the next few years. There's no doubt about it. On top of, you add in Vrabel, who I think is a very good coach when we're talking about the defensive side of the ball, especially when Vrabel gets to scheme up against Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's got a good track record again from an experience standpoint, even from a win-loss standpoint with his time as the head coach at Tennessee. And there were really a lot of factors that I think especially went in like to that side of the ball. And the Pats came in as one of the better run defending teams in the league. The Bills came in as one of the better running teams offensively in the league. And I thought the Pats flexed their strength more than the Bills did. They, controlled the line of scrimmage with physicality, with penetration. And then even from a pass standpoint, compromising the depth of the pocket, the width of the pocket, getting Allen off his spot, making things really just, they took it to the Bills offensive line. They beat them up, got physical, but you mentioned something that I think was really, really important. They were very well prepared for what the Bills wanted to do. You could tell when the Bills got into certain looks, they knew here comes Duo, here comes, this was one of the few games where, oh, hey, you've been showing that blast counter. YF looked the exact same way. Guess what? We're going to blow it up because you just keep running it the same way. Here we come.
And more importantly, too, Ant, you're right. They had the keys down. There's no doubt. But they also had the discipline because other teams have seen that play and other teams haven't been able to shut it down because they were fast flowing. We showed it last week. You saw Demario Davis, who's a very good linebacker, fast flow over the top of one of those run plays that they run constantly, and it opened up the cutback lanes. The Patriots didn't. And anytime James Cook looked to cut it back, they had Robert Spillane, in the cutback lane, and they had other defenders along the D line in that cutback lane. They were very disciplined in that front seven to limit the options and escape exits for James Cook.
Yeah, they really had a good. I'm thinking to myself of like what mattered more, but it was individual personal execution and a sound game plan, and they put it together. And if you muddy the Bills' run game, things start to get sluggish, and it got a little sluggish. And then, like you said, you add those kind of starts together with some sloppiness and some poor execution, and the Bills not kind of playing like themselves, and you kind of put that together, and is it okay? Were they not playing like themselves on their own, or because the Patriots forced their hand? It was a little bit of A, a little of B, and you get an ugly performance. And all of that considered, let's put in perspective too, like a lot of ugliness for the Bills. And they still, I know there's no moral victories and no silver linings. They only lost by 3. They still could have won this game, which is, a nice little positive. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of ugliness on that side.
And we kind of touched upon, the Patriots being in tune and keyed in to some of the Bills' tendencies. And, yesterday, I think it was one of the guys from the Bills chat pod posted something about, and Collinsworth mentioned it in the broadcast about their tendency when Josh goes under center. And we've talked about this too. And for the first 2 weeks, it didn't matter, right? Because the Bills offensive line, they were moving guys. And this one, it did matter. So let's talk about the tendencies. So listen, for the first 4 games, the sample of the first 4 games, the Bills' tendency, shotgun versus under center. Under center, their percentage to run was 80.5%, while under center, that's 3rd overall. So obviously way, way up there when you're looking at that. Their tendency to pass when Josh is under center is only 19.2%. That is ranked 30th. Now, shotgun passing is 78.9%, which is 4th overall. So shotgun, they're ranked 4th. And run out of shotgun is 21.1%, 29th. Again, just the first 4 games going into the 5th game of the year against the Patriots. This is the thing with 4 games in on top of going against a division rival. That is a sample that most teams use to scout. So these were obviously seen by the Patriots, their scouting staff, their coaching staff. And while it does sound rather high for the run percentage under center, it's actually quite common for most teams to run the ball from under center, because the under center drop back passing game, aside from a few teams in that Shanahan tree, not many teams pass out of it unless it's play action. And that's the Bills.
That's why everybody calls out, like when the Seahawks do it with Darnold, it's like, look at the under center passing game, like the straight drop back game, because it's not really a regular thing, to your point.
Yeah, exactly. The Vikings, the Rams, the Niners, those, McVay, Shanahan tree guys, they pass. They have a straight, drop back passing game from under center. The Bills don't. I think they've run 25 passes, if I remember correctly, 25 passes from under center, and all but 4 of those were play action. So you think to yourself, like, okay, so they have these tendencies, but when we get to the film, you're going to see what the Bills actually used that in their favor in this game. And so the Patriots had a really good beat with the Bills under center. They had 14. The Bills had 14 rushes for 45 yards from running backs, 3.2 yards per rush. They did a great job of slowing that down. But when the Bills went under center and ran their passing game, again, play action, They had success, Anthony. Weeks 1 through 4 play action, 21.4%, 27th overall. More, right? And we want more play action.
Always.
In this game, it went from 21.4 in the first 4 games to 33.3%. They were 5 for 5 with Josh under center running play action, 88 yards, 1 touchdown. 4 out of 5 of their explosives were on play action from under center. So they used those tendencies against the Patriots. And honestly, if they didn't do that, I don't know if they would have gotten any explosives in the passing game or overall, because they didn't get them in the run game either.
No. Yeah, it was a slog a lot through the air and on the ground. Then those play action, especially a lot of them to Kincaid, were what saved them. Like the ones to Kincaid, the one to Palmer early on, like that made a huge difference, especially with not necessarily pushing it like vertical, but being able to get in the intermediate and get some chunks and kind of gash the Patriots a little bit in that way. Like you said, like that was one of the few ways they were able to gash them, because we're used to seeing some 12-yard runs, a 14-yard run. Right. Cook came close on whichever one it was, and I think Landry like just tripped him up, and Cook like smashed the right. And Cook smashed where he delayed a little bit, waited for it, and shot through. And you could tell he was just starting to get into gear, and Landry just tripped him, and Cook punched the ground because he knew he was close to being out the gate. Yeah. But we're used to seeing a bunch of runs like that, or ones that actually come through where it's, 10, 12, 14, 16, a 30-yarder, 40-yarder. And then if they get some in the pass, it's cool. But those ones off play action were hugely important for them. And I think the tendency conversation is important to have, right? Because everybody has their tendencies.
Yes.
And everybody knows that other teams know what their tendencies are. So that's where the chess match comes in of football, where, like, not to make the joke, and I said this last night too, it becomes like that joke of, we know that that we know that what you know, but everybody knows that. And so it becomes like, are they in this because they're actually going to run that, or are they going to try and, oh, damn it, they did the other thing. They got us. All right, make a note of it. We got to come back. Like, that's what makes football so fun. That's wherein lies the game, in addition to the execution and all the planning pieces. And this is something we're going to continue to see. It's why we highlighted Brady last week for all the layering and what he's doing. Even though, the flea flicker off the blast counter YF, I thought it was kind of a little convoluted, but even that I was like, oh, like that's still like a layer and a wrinkle.
Sure.
Although maybe not the layer of the wrinkle that I want.
Not the time. Not the time, because it was so herky-jerky when it came to the rhythm, as our boy Jason said in the chat. It was so unstable, is what I said during the game. And then you're going to go ahead and throw that flea flicker from Ray Davis. And it worked. And I'm still complaining. And that's the thing. Like, we're going to tell you, like, even though they completed that play and that was one of their explosives, I didn't like that call. I didn't like that call at that moment, because they still needed to get that offense on track, and they're running crazy stuff. And I thought that was kind of the microcosm of the early part of that game. Is I thought Joe Brady, Josh Allen, and that offense came out a little too aggressive. They didn't lean on their identity. They lost their identity, as we said early in the show. And so they were doing things like that when they didn't need to. Again, just stick to what has worked and then make your adjustments from there. To me, they were pushing it a little much. And I think that was part of the game plan. And to me, that really affected Josh. And we're going to show you some of the good and some of the bad and how it affected him in this game.
That's fair. And I think that's even, a good microcosm. Like you said, like I would have loved, give me the regular blast counter YF and then go with the flea flicker. Like them doing it right out of the gate without necessarily setting the table. Like, even though technically the tendency is the table. Yeah, I just thought it was, to your point, symptomatic, kind of just getting out of themselves a little bit. And then you couple that with the Patriots just being well prepared with, you talk about what they did up front was cool. You had multiple reps where Barmore is aligned outside. Milton Williams is aligned outside. They're putting him on the tight ends, like in the run. They're putting him against tackles and they're doing like all this stuff that I thought was really well designed to attack who and what the Bills are. And then you couple that with the Bills, or what Brady said or McDermott said, getting a little too cutesy, or, being a little, just getting outside of themselves early on. Right. And it was, we've applauded Brady so much for, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And he said that. And it felt like, I don't want to say cutesy, but it felt like he was like, it's not broken and we don't have to fix it, but they think that we're not going to fix it. So guess what? Here comes this. And it's like, you didn't need to maybe do that. And it just kind of spiraled from there.
No doubt about it. All right, man. So we're talking about tendencies. We're talking about how the Bills use those tendencies in their favor in this game. So we're going to start off with some play action passes from this game. This is from the second quarter. Obviously, the Bills saw a lot of man coverage in this game. And here's another condensed type set. They run their play action play and run it to Palmer, who is a deep crosser versus single high coverage, as I highlighted there. Very good motion. Bills use a lot of motion prior to the snap. You see the play action fake and then the separation, Palmer versus Gonzalez. Obviously a very good cover corner, especially in man coverage. Great work on the release, getting that inside release, inside stem, and then working back ever so slightly as he crosses the field versus his single high coverage off of play action. Again, one of their explosives came off of play action. Most of them came off of play action. This was to a wide receiver who created some separation for the first down.
Yeah, more crossers going forward if they're going to continue to see single high, which they will, especially cover one here. No pun intended there. Really like, and you have it perfectly highlighted here, the eyes from Allen. Look how he looks to the left. He manipulates that single high post safety. There goes a motorcycle by my window, because why wouldn't there be a motorcycle? Why not? There's been none all day here, but of course we get one now. Allen manipulates that post safety, number 21, Jalen Hawkins, right as that's also a great shot to a Palmer using, his body language and that arm to separate a little bit as Gonzalez goes for the grab. Palmer pulls away. You see that post safety have to slam on the brakes to go, uh-oh. So just nice route from Palmer, play action, and then Allen manipulating that single high safety with his body language and his eyes and then putting it right on him.
Yeah, just look at what it does to that post safety. Opens those hips to the left side of the screen. He sold it, man. He sold it very, very well. And then again, the top of the route, separation by Palmer. And he's sneaky quick when we're talking in breakers. That's something we broke down with him over the offseason. His ability to separate with his route running at the top of the route work, whether and how he made them all look the same, whether he's running out or an in. He's very good at separating on these crossers, and which is why you see him on a lot of these, heavy personnel groupings and play action type plays. He's running crossing routes because he's sneaky quick getting across the field, as he does there against Gonzalez for the first down. Again, another one of their explosives. Here's another man coverage rep to Kincaid. If you're going to play single high man coverage, a lot of times you're going to see crossers, and that's the way to beat these type of coverages. And this time, instead of Palmer, it's Dalton Kincaid. Just makes it look easy. He also is very smooth on these in and out breaking routes. They could have gone to him almost every play against any safety that the Patriots had, and kind of bummed that they didn't, because he was getting open, especially in man coverage. He could have had another, 50 to 75 more yards receiving if they went to him when they saw man coverage.
Yeah, especially with how the Pats were using it. A lot of times, they're spinning to cover one, and it's just straight up either Hawkins 21 or 31, whose name is escaping me right now. Woodson. Woodson in my head. Yeah, rookie from Cal. It was just one of those two guys, like essentially spinning down and covering there. And I will take Dalton Kincaid almost every single time against any safety in true man coverage. Like, he is so fluid and just has that fluid technicality to his game, along with understanding like leverage and space. And that was such a mismatch that, especially watching the tape, I feel like there was some meat left on the bone, which is saying a lot considering he had a very productive game. I thought this was a matchup, especially with having Davis and Gonzalez on the outside. You could have just avoided them further and just exploited. Even if they would have gone with the slot matchup, I'll take Kincaid against Marcus Jones, even though I like Marcus Jones. But if you got him on one of these safeties, mismatch all day. And that's for most safeties across the league.
Yeah, Kincaid was a baller in this game, and we're going to show several plays from him. And here's another one. And so you saw that crossing route there, and that was in the third quarter. So in the fourth quarter, when the Bills need to make some plays down the field and when they need to get explosives and come back, they go to a similar type concept. So you saw the deep crosser from that location, from that play. And so the Bills run play action here, but they make it look like, hey, he could cross over again against a single high coverage. He gets to the top of this route after the play action fake. And it's essentially like a two-way go, right? And like you make it look like you're going to come across the middle and then just go to the sail concept, the corner route. Andy Reid, the Chiefs, and Kelsey, they do this a ton. This is one of their bread and butter plays, and just very good work in the play action game. And you know what? Even though Cook wasn't cooking, look at what it does. The play fake does to that second level. Look at him suck up, and that allows Kincaid to clear that second level, get out into the boundary for the explosive play.
And you can see 14 Spillane and then 51 Giddens. not only do they get sucked up, but then they turn expecting like they're looking to try and robot and almost
Robot
pick
to the
up.
middle.
Yeah, to pick up Kincaid. Like, okay, he's going on the crosser.
Yeah.
Because they see where he's releasing from, and also he takes that inside
Whoop.
release and also gets pushed inside from Devy a little bit, and bang, he pops it back outside. It's not a crosser, it's a sail route. You also kind of get the action, like you're thinking, okay, here comes the boot, but it's more of that like that half kind of boot, and Allen just posts up. Kincaid pops it back outside, and that second level is fooled, thinking that Kincaid's going across the middle.
Yeah, it's just a really nice play call. It's one we've broken down. They've ran it to not just tight ends. They ran it to, they've thrown it to Gabe Davis, into the short side of the field there for big plays. And it's something that, we've seen plenty of times in the Bills offense. And obviously the Bills had success with it in this game. So more play action, more use of motion. I thought Brady's use of motion in the low red zone was phenomenal. I mean, two of these two touchdowns were, thanks to Joe Brady in the motion. The first one, which we're not going to break down because it was too easy. Curtis Samuel, that movement really was just too much.
I'm just always expecting success on that. If it's man coverage, I'm like, well, this is going to be successful. It's either Shakir or it's Samuel, and it's open, and it always seems to be there. No jinx.
And this is, I swear, it feels like the Bills stole this from the Kansas City Chiefs against the Eagles from the Super Bowl, where they're doing the switch, right? The defense is going to switch because of these routes. Is a little high-low to the bottom of the screen. And so on the snap, you're going to see the two Pats defenders, as my mouse dies right now. You're going to see both those defenders go for the short route underneath, and that leaves Coleman wide open. The outside corner, Davis, was expecting a switch from the looks of it and how pissed off he gets.
Yeah, he's really mad.
Right. And so now he's trying to get back, but I love the ball placement from Josh Allen here. He throws it inside to Coleman, and that allows Coleman to use his long arms and hands to bring it in for the touchdown. But again, the credit should go to Joe Brady on this play for the motion and understanding that this would affect the coverage rules and switch banjo by the defense here for the touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have too much to add on this one. It's just that little bit of motion that stresses the defense. It forces them to communicate and see the same thing at the same time. And Marcus Jones and Carlton Davis don't execute that. And you can see, how pissed Davis is after the play. Like you can see him kind of gesturing like to Jones, like, hey, we're supposed to switch right here. And then he just yells and is mad. And I also think it's even frustrating too, like, because not only, what you pointed out, they both initially go on Samuel, but Davis peels off a little bit. And so if Allen doesn't fit that ball inside, Davis could still make a play on it. So like the Pats screw up, but also still have a chance to make a play on it. But Allen's ball placement negates it. And if you're Davis, like you guys made a mistake, but you're still so close, but the throw beats you. It's just frustrating all around, but it all starts because of the stress the motion put on him.
All right. So I thought, like we said, I thought that if we're talking players of the game, I think our guy, Dalton Kincaid, was that player of the game. And I just thought, aside from just play action, it wasn't just that, and again, you're using the tendencies that you've created over 4 games against the Patriots. But I thought Kincaid not only was good in play action, but he was so good at bailing his quarterback out in those situations where he needed to. Early in the game, backed up. I will say, I think he screwed up on the play, but he made up for it on the back end over the middle. Josh is climbing the pocket and throws it low, and then Kincaid, scoops it up off the turf. I think he actually was supposed to run an out route on that option route, but he ran to the middle. But he bailed him out. But I thought he did a great job just being QB friendly in several scenarios in this game. And that's nothing new with him. But if we're talking this identity for the Bills offense, I think we've determined that this is a run first team. James Cook, he was a AFC player of the month for a reason. I think they have their run game identity. I think they are still looking for their pass game identity. And I think it should be Dalton Kincaid from here on out, guys.
Yeah, we talked about it last year, him kind of being the thought being him being like the tip of the spear for the passing attack. And then he gets banged up and had a multitude of injuries, and there was some wonkiness with the offense there and kind of just threw a wrench into those potential plans. But this year, I mean, he's got the advanced metrics that back it up. And it's not just for tight ends. We were talking about it earlier, kind of where he stands across the board for eligible pass catchers. And it makes sense. He is a mismatch creator. I know he's not, necessarily a true tight end like people say. He's more of a big body wide receiver or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, He's fluid. He's got some technique to him. He understands spacing and leverage, and he can cause problems in a variety of alignments and formations and against a variety of body types. And if you're going to split him out and you're going to pass to him, defenses have to account for him in some way. And you need the right body types. You need the right type of player to combat the body type that he has and the type of player that he is.
Right. And as I said, I thought he was super QB friendly. And this is our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy play of the game. We're going to go somewhere a little different than just touchdowns or big plays like that. I just want to show you how spectacular this play was from the game. Empty set for the Bills. And you're going to see Kincaid in the slot. And the Patriots do a great job of disguising this coverage pre to post snap. Single high to start, but then you can see the linebackers spill out here, and then they rotate into a Tampa 2 type look. So they go from 1 high to 2 high, and Josh is looking to the bottom of the screen. But now with the Pats in a Tampa 2 cover 2 type look, the out route to Coleman, because you have Knox going deep, the out route right here by Coleman is trapped. Gonzalez is right there. So the first 2 options are essentially taken out of the play. And so Josh has to move on in his progression. His next guy is Dalton Kincaid sitting over the middle. But the Pats did a great job of popping out and rushing 3. So they pop out Milton Williams into this hook to curl area. They only rush 3. It's something they did a bunch in high leverage situations. And to be honest, I think that might be a trend that Vrabel set for the next few games at the very least. But Milton Williams pops out. And so when Josh gets to Dalton Kincaid, there's no way he can throw it with Milton Williams there. And obviously there's a linebacker there too. So look at Kincaid. As soon as the eyes from Josh come to Kincaid, he's already moving. He is becoming QB friendly. He's getting out into space, and Josh finds him, the third option in this progression, so that they can get up the field for 15 to 17 yards on this play.
Yeah, this one was really nice. Just, it starts really from the Patriots side, like a little non-traditional Tampa, a cool spin. You take arguably your best pass rusher and you drop him as that low hole player. And look at Williams 97. He dropped, like, it's perfect. He drops right to Kincaid, and his eyes are on Allen, thinking maybe like, I'm going to get a pick.
Yeah.
I'm watching for this throw. Like, he's ready to get him like a big man interception, but Allen's looking elsewhere. And like you said, just the vision from Kincaid, let me get from that first window to that second window. Allen and Cole Beasley used to do this all the time. Beasley would work from that first window to the second, and the ability to find space underneath. And you can see Kincaid, like he gets right into that spot. He's clapping, like, give it to me now, give it to me now. Allen's eyes get on him, bang, and he clears Milton Williams wide open. Allen pins it on him. And then also like a little bit of the physical finish from Kincaid. Gets a little banged up in the end there, but drops the shoulder into Woodson, gets a couple extra yards, takes him a bit for a ride. Really nice play. And again, are making it look easy loan auto sales play of the game, even though it wasn't as easy as it may have looked.
Yeah, just awesome stuff from Kincaid on this play. And overall, just being QB friendly, helping Josh in that middle of the field. Again, I think an area that the Bills could have even attacked a little more with guys like Kincaid over the middle. Just good stuff from him at being QB friendly on this play. And it not even just this play. As I said, he did it earlier in the game, but on this one, I think he wasn't so friendly early on in this, because this is that high-low we've talked about where it's an option route for Kincaid right here, and he can break in, he can sit, or he can break to the out. On this one, for some reason, he breaks inside right into the coverage. I think right here, he could have gone to the out here, and it would have been a lot easier. But either way, Josh felt pressure, got up in the pocket, and you saw Kincaid become QB friendly for this play.
Yeah, some of the QB friendliness that he brings, it's just, especially from an off-script perspective, we saw in a couple chunk plays like last year, but his ability to just kind of get into rhythm and get comfortable with Allen and be able to be in spots where Allen needs him to be. He's just good working back into that field of vision while also being able to find space and be able to work to grass. And it's sometimes those two things don't happen. Sometimes you can work to grasp, but kind of run yourself into coverage or run yourself into someone else. He just understands where the voids are, where the gaps are, how to get himself there, but at the same time, getting into Allen's field of vision and making himself QB friendly, like you said, and making himself available. And yeah, kind of bailing himself out there that
Yeah.
read is wrong initially and making a nice little dive and catch on. Kind of a bullet from Allen, who stepped up and
Yeah.
slung this right in there.
Yeah, and like I said, so Dalton Kincaid in this game, great. Very QB friendly for Josh Allen, and that's why he was our easy loan, making it look easy play of the game. But we gave you 2 plays because I just loved how friendly he was for his quarterback this week against the Patriots, even in a loss.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid making being QB friendly look easier than it is in the NFL, and Dalton Kincaid being part of our making it look easy loan auto sales play of the game, sponsored of course by our friends at Easy Loan Auto Sales. Easy Loan Auto Sales is Western New York's premier buy here, pay here car dealership with locations in Buffalo and Lockport. Regardless of your credit history, they offer the fastest car buying experience around. Get approved and reserve your vehicle all from your phone. You can start your approval at easyloanauto.com, and you could be driving today.
Good stuff. Good stuff there from Kincaid. And I want to carry that thought into the next segment because, as I said, I think he can become the passing identity for this Bills offense. I don't think people realize how good he's been this year. I know we're seeing a lot of those like charts from True Media where he's in that upper right quadrant and he's, kicking butt in that regards. Listen to some of these stats, Anthony. 6.3 yards after catch per reception. That's 18th overall. And people are like, oh, 18th overall. That's terrible. Yeah, that's 18th overall among all tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs in the passing game. 2.63 yards per route run, which is 5th overall among all wide receivers. That's 5th behind Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's pretty good company to be in.
A little bit.
37.5% explosive reception percentage. That's 1st overall among all receivers. But it's not just the explosive plays. It's not just the easy button plays in the screen game, getting those yards after the catch. He's efficient too. He has a 0.84 EPA per target when targeted. That's 3rd overall. They need to get him the ball more, not just off play action, not just in the screen game, not just in the middle of the field. They need to start focusing this offense and passing offense and running it through Dalton Kincaid because I think he's ready to blow up right now. I think he's ready to really ascend and take his game to that next level.
Yeah, you mentioned the efficiency metrics there. He's got some good raw stats too, and you put it all together and you talk about like that usage. And amongst 140 qualifying wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs, he is 53rd in target rate at 23.5%. So you talk about the efficiency, the numbers. Those efficiency numbers maybe take a dip if the volume goes up, but he has shown his ability to kind of be the focal point of the passing game. And especially if you're going to face teams who they want to go single high, and if they have good or athletic corners on the outside, fine, run the ball. And you use Dalton Kincaid as that mismatch creator, whether it's against a linebacker or a safety. You start to take those good outside or athletic corners and, okay, cool, have fun being on your island. We don't care. We're going to run the ball. We're going to use Kincaid as the move guy, as the mismatch guy, and go from there and allow him to really kind of be the person, like you said, that the offense flows through. And that would be really nice. They spent a 1st-round pick on him. It would be nice to kind of get
would be
that
really
value.
Nice.
Yeah, it would be really nice to kind of get that value.
Pleasant. I would like that.
I would really enjoy if they hit on their 1st-round pick from a couple years ago. So that would be a really nice thing to have.
All right. So the good.
I hate this play.
The good's out the door. All right. We're going to get to a few of the mistakes and bad plays that we deemed mistakes from Josh Allen and the Bills offense. And it's got to start with this one. And let's be honest, guys. Josh struggles with any type of read option, whether it's zone read, whether it's counter bash at times, whether it's tackle wrap like this one. He struggles because he wants the ball.
Yeah, he just
last week we praised him because they had a power run called, and he said, you know what, James Cook? They're expecting that. I'm keeping it, and he got the 1st down. So you got to take the good with the bad. Well, this is one of the bads. And it's their tackle wrap play. Again, they're trying to get it to Johnson, who they should have given it to Johnson here with the right tackle, Spencer Brown pulling the numbers and blocking out front. You have 2 receivers out there, hat on a hat. The next guy Johnson has to beat is that safety right there. Well, guess what? Josh says, you know what? No, I'm just going to keep it here. And Harold Landry blows this play up. Josh, he goes into ad-lib mode, and the play gets blown up. But it's a decision that is one of a few decisions in this game that Josh just blew. in a high leverage situation, 3rd and 3, low red zone. That guy, if he's crashing like he is, that angle, just the angle he's taking, that's a give. Give it to Ty Johnson. The second thing I want to critique, I'm going to go above Josh Allen. I'm going to go Joe Brady. James Cook should be the guy doing this. James Cook's speed and elusiveness will stress a defender. Even if that guy doesn't crash, if Landry doesn't crash and Josh gives it to Cook, Cook's going to more than likely make a guy miss. But you want that speed on this play on 3rd and 3. Josh and Joe Brady blow it here. And on 3rd and 3, it's points, man. It's points off the board, really, because they could have used this touchdown in the low red zone.
Yeah, that's a good point too about Cook. Just that extra level threat. Maybe it causes some hesitancy in Landry or gets some extra movement from the defense and manipulation for the offense. And you hit it on the head. Like, I don't have too much to add. You give this to Johnson, there's a chance he scores with what he can do and with the blocking outside. But worst case scenario, it's an easy first down. Like just to get the first down, it's like the 6 or 7 yard line. Johnson's getting that easy. There is so much space outside. You have a hat on a hat. And this is an easy give. Like, just look at right there. It's done. You don't even need to let him crash down even more. He has taken 2 hard steps inside. You give it. That's it. There's no angle. Ty Johnson doesn't have to bubble. He's out. The edge is out leveraged. It's done. That's an easy give. Allen ad-libs and tries to do something we can after. Man, that's such a horrible visual. It looks like there's all 11 dudes who are tackling. Ty Johnson there. But yeah, look where the marker is. The marker's at 5, 6, the 7-yard line. That's an easy first down.
And I always remember this play with James Cook in there, especially if, like, the Dolphins. This is like one of their low red zone plays that they use against the Dolphins, and Cook always scores.
Yeah,
always scores on this play.
It was funny.
We got a counter bash instead of tackle wrap, but it's same process. All right, same type of read, and Josh just blows it here.
I love. We were talking about Kendall earlier. Our boy, Mr. Kendall Mursky, joining us in the chat, and I kind of like this point from Kendall too, saying no disrespect to Ty, but you got to think Josh would be more confident to give it if it was Cook. And then he says, appreciate you guys. Keep educating. Appreciate you stopping in, Kendall. Thank you very much for a little old time's sake. I don't know why you're not just fire up the computer and just hop into the
phone. I know. Just hop on in.
But that's actually a fair point too. Maybe Allen is more willing, potentially to give the give if it is Cook, even though his mind gets set on stuff. This one's just who knows? Maybe they get the first down and they get stopped and they have to kick a field goal anyway, or maybe they turn the ball over, something else happens, but there should have been a new set of downs there relatively easily, and that's just frustrating to not get that.
And the other thing, when we move on to this play, this is the slot fade, right, to Coleman to the top of the screen, and I just absolutely hated this play. Hate everything about this portion of the game because, one, this was like the first series for Coleman. The play before this was a back shoulder throw. That was 2nd and 10. This is 3rd and 10. So Josh, again, predetermines this pass to Coleman. And you got to think about it. Josh is probably like trying to get Coleman involved. He knows Coleman was in trouble and wasn't on that first drive. Coleman's his guy. He wants to get him going. He wants to get him involved. So they throw him the back shoulder on 2nd and 10. Goes incomplete. Josh throws it to him here. It goes incomplete. And the next drive, one of the first passes is to Coleman. He fumbles it. But here, Josh knew, just because of the look and the motion, that it's man coverage. And I said it earlier. When they went to man coverage, you should have been looking right at Dalton Kincaid. Instead, Josh predetermined this throw. He saw the single high safety. Yes, slot fade's good versus single high safety, whether it's cover 3 or cover 1. But here, if Josh just throws it to Dalton Kincaid, again, it's 3rd and 10. Don't get me wrong, it's 3rd and 10. But look at everyone's eyes. They're on their man. Look at the space between Dalton Kincaid and his defender. If Josh puts that on him properly,
separation.
Kincaid's getting that first down. Instead, he throws a low percentage pass down the field, trying to get his guy involved, and it goes incomplete.
Even if he gets tackled right away, if something happens and you get, Kincaid catches it, he gets nailed right away. It's still what?
3, like 3rd and 3, and then look where they're at. Maybe they go for it.
Yep. 4th and 3, go for it. You kind of see what happens there. I also don't love, this is Coleman on Marcus Jones. And I've liked Marcus Jones from his time at Houston. I think it's awesome that he's actually making a living playing corner, considering like the size and frame and stature and stuff. I would have liked maybe like better ball placement from Allen or play on the ball from Coleman. I just feel like
Coleman was not physical there.
No disrespect to Marcus Jones, but Coleman should win this 10 out of 10 times. This is a power forward going up for a rebound. against an undersized like point guard or shooting guard. Like you got to come down with that rebound every single time. And Coleman just doesn't. Like you got to go up, get that ball. So the decision was annoying. The play on the ball was annoying. Like Marcus Jones is out physicaling him and out athleting him. That's not proper grammar. But, and again, shout out to Marcus Jones. Really good play here for him. But that's a matchup that Coleman has to win 10 out of 10 times.
Yep.
And I understand Allen potentially taking it, right? Like you see that and you're like, oh, my power forward against the point guard, I'm going to chuck it up. But Coleman doesn't make the play. You got the ball plays from Allen, and then, just not hitting Kincaid, who was wide open. When in doubt, we got to figure out some kind of phrasing of everybody eats to like fill Kincaid's plate or something like that. Just change it. That's what it's got to be.
No doubt about it.
No one eats. Everyone starves except for Kincaid.
We're going to move on. Unfortunately, Marcus Jones again, but
great play
too
again
high safety. Yeah, another great play. And the Bills are in a 3-by-1 set, and we've talked about it. Double China 7. They like to do that, especially with that number 3 receiver on the line of scrimmage. They like to run that double China 7, where you're having this guy either break to the middle, break to the corner, then these two in-breaking routes. So they run a play that's kind of similar. But the important part is that the 2 deep safeties are trapping the number 3 again, because they like to run that either that in-breaking route to the middle post or to the corner. So Josh is looking at those guys, and I have a little timer going, and look where it ends. When Josh gets rid of the ball, he almost damn near had 4 seconds. All right, keep that in mind when you're talking about, oh, Josh had 4 seconds to throw the ball in this game, or 3.5 seconds. Like, yeah, Josh had very good time to throw on this. He had a very good pocket. Unfortunately, he was half a click late to Shakir, and it cost him on this play. You'll see it from the end zone angle. And I want you guys to look, because you can see him work through his progressions, start off left or right on this play. And once he gets to the right, he's looking at those safeties, and he should be reading the hip of this guy. That is telling him blatantly that if this guy's breaking to the middle, which he does, Samuel, he's going to be overtaken. So then he needs to get off of that guy and move on in his progression. And so I start a timer right here from this frame, because this is where I believe Josh kind of gets his eyes to Samuel and then to Shakir coming into his line of sight. And he almost had a second to make that throw. And you can see he's kind of hesitant. He's kind of just half a click slow. And as you said, the athlete, Marcus Jones, comes across the field and makes a play on the ball. So I think, again, I put this one on Josh, and I thought it was cool to put the timer on that to give you an idea that Josh had time, but he was still half a click late on this throw to Shakir.
Yeah, you can almost see him, especially from the end zone angle. Like he kind of has like a couple extra hops, a couple bounces. Like there goes Samuel, and it starts from right here as you have it frozen. Fire it, but see, it's just the 1-2. Those 2 little hops, and he could have done the 1 and fired it, and instead it's that bang bang, and then it's just a little too long. If he throws it right as Shakir is breaking, I still think, again, you can beat that safety. The safety either has to play through Shakir, or you get Shakir the opportunity to make the catch and play through contact, see what happens there. But that extra hesitation, like you noted, allows Marcus Jones to close the gap. And you see Jones get on his horse. He eats up that space. He's got great burst. He's got great short area quickness. And then again, kudos to him for diving, getting out in front of this ball. Like just a bit late with that extra hop, which isn't really something we tend to see from Allen, even if he kind of makes up for it with the arm strength. Him being late there from an eyes and decision standpoint, a little frustrating.
So again, tackle wrap, 3rd and 3, bad decision. Interception there, 2nd and 10 in the red zone, interception. 3rd down here on this play. This was the sack that he took, and I put this on him, and I'm going to try to walk through, because there's a lot to go through on this. So you see the motion or shift from Ty Johnson. You see the Pats defender go with him, kind of making it look like it's man coverage. I will say the Pats did a great job of disguising their coverages in this game, whether it's man to zone or 1-2 high. But right here, you got to think about this when we're talking numbers. Sometimes football is just a numbers or space game, right? So they got 3 defenders to only 2 receivers to that side of the field. And honestly, it could be more than 3 defenders to cover those 2, because you have an overload. One of the guys technically could drop out, but usually the load front is something we broke down with Michael Hoyt. Usually this means something weird is coming. Something exotic is coming here. So to the top of the screen, something's fishy there to the short side of the field. That should have been an alert for Josh. Then to the bottom of the screen, the trip set, the bunch set to the bottom, look at the little motion. All right, you got 3 receivers, 3 eligibles down there, but you only technically have 2 defenders to cover that. So that means if the defense wants to maintain leverage and spacing on those 3 eligibles, a third person's got to come over there. Safety is a single high safety look. So someone else has to come over there to help them defend, whether it's zone or man. All right. And so it kind of looks like zone on that side just based on the alignment. And so right now, basically, with the Bills running this essentially like a spot concepts with a sail, watch that third guy pop out. Well, there's your third guy. All right. So now there's 3 over 3 spacing there, but they sent pressure and overload pressure to the top of the screen. So now they have 4 versus essentially 3 blockers. And because that linebacker popped out, David Edwards, who was in man protection against him, he goes and helps Deion Dawkins. So he's not a swing man. He's not a pivot guy, which he's doing his job. And that just allows the Patriots to expose the protection 4-on-3 to get to Josh. Josh, if he had a little more time, if he would have somehow did something with the protection, you're getting that sail route to Dalton Kincaid opening up versus this cover 3 pressure. But instead, Josh climbs the pocket right into that pressure for the sack.
Yeah, this one, the pre-snap is the big one for me. Like, you can just see everything out there. There's Edwards calling out. Spillane is sitting there up, mugging that spot. So he's calling him out. And you're just, you hit it. Like, you can even see from this angle too. Like, who is going to make a play over there to the left? Yeah. Like, and then meanwhile on the right side, you've got the overload on the line. You've got Mapu 15. You've got Jalen Hawkins 21.
Like, why would these guys be standing so close to each other? One of these guys is coming.
Why would they be standing so close to each other? And why would there literally only be 2 over 3 on the outside?
Yeah.
And you're not going to see 2 over 3 on the outside and think, I guess there's a chance, okay, maybe that safety comes down and does something, but that means someone on the back end has to spin. Yeah, you're doing a lot of spins, or you're doing some kind of cover 0 look and everybody's coming. But the most likely, and we're not just saying it because it's, hindsight is 2020. The most likely is that Spillane is faking and he's going to drop out and be responsible kind of for anybody coming in as that number 3 on the inside.
Even out those numbers. Yes,
exactly. And the math, it changes and the space changes. And honestly, it's not even in a way, not to discredit what the Pats did here. It's not done in a way that's, oh man, they completely confused the front. Like, look how this person sold. Look how this person did this.
Right.
This one is somewhat telegraphed to a degree because they're not going to sit there with 2 over 3 on 3rd down.
Yes.
And at this stage in the game, they're not going to do that.
And like I said, I'll give some of the credit to the Pats staff because they understood that this would be a half slide, 3 guys going this way. Everyone's going out into a route. So there's only 5 blockers. And so the Bills would man up this side of the protection. And that's what David Edwards is talking about here. He taps his head. We talked to Connor McGovern when we were playing the Rams and Michael Hoyt, and they had Hoyt as a mugged linebacker like Spillane, and you saw David Edwards tap his head to take him. So they had an idea on what protection they were going to see here. But for some reason, I don't know why Josh or the offensive line didn't see this unbalanced look, from a number sense. And that really is what led to this sack here. And they were able to get the 4-on-3 look and sack there on Josh. And so I put that on him. I expect more from him when it comes to these type of plays.
Yeah, especially with all the progression he's made in his pre-snap progressions and development and understanding protections and understanding rules and calling out and being, the architect of a lot of what they're doing in conjunction with McGovern and stuff up front. But he's not some quarterback who's just passive and sits back there. Like he plays from the neck up a good amount and does pretty well with it. And that one, like that's not one that is overly, again, like you said, kudos to the Pats for scheming that up and gaming up the Bills' protection. But that was one that really wasn't overly complicated to kind of see pre-snap.
All right, so good and bad on the offensive side. I want to briefly talk about and break down some film on the defensive side. I thought the Bills did a great job overall of limiting the run game of the Patriots. And the Patriots went to some of the hits that the Bills have struggled with since week 1 against the Ravens. A lot of those double tights, I formation, zone type runs.
Say zone lead.
Yeah, zone lead, all those plays. And for most of the year, the Bills have been ranked 25th in yards before contact per rush, 25th overall. But in this game, they limited the pass to 0.84 yards before contact per rush. So they did a great job of not allowing the running backs of the Patriots to get going, which is something that the Bills have been working towards since Derrick Henry created that runway and created 6 points on the board several times since week 1. And so I thought they did a great job of minimizing the run game of the Patriots, 3.1 yards per rush for them. And I want to say it made them one-dimensional, but it's it's silver lining when we're talking about the Bills defense, because I do think there are some remnants of a very good pass rush. We just need to marry the pass rush and the coverage a little better, but stopping the run has been their biggest weakness, and week 5 was a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I was very encouraged by their run fit performance. And I know the Pats weren't a particularly strong running team coming into this game or coming out of it, by the way things went here, but you just saw them start to, move the needle a little bit from a run fit perspective. You had guys in their gaps, not 2 guys in one gap and a crease developing in an alley. And then you had some individual nice plays within that. And you're doing that with, no disrespect, but you got Zion Logue at defensive tackle and Fedarian Mathis at defensive tackle. And even one play, Mathis, they run a wham block on him. He recognizes it. He plays through the inside. I was like, oh, okay. Granted, the wham
he blew it up.
Yeah, he did. And granted, the wham is, Hunter Henry, who's not some physical dude, but he still recognized it, didn't get sealed. And so getting contributions from guys that are, I don't know, those guys, if everyone was healthy, those guys are probably like defensive tackle 6 or 7 or 7 and 8, however you're looking at it. And being able to get some kind of contribution from those guys while being able to have some good fits on the back end, Cole Bishop coming down as a force player to keep things inside and Bernard shooting. You lose Milano in this, and then so Shaq is playing more.
Too.
He looked really good. He had a lot of bounce and juice to his steps. He was calling things out early and sitting in gaps and shooting a bit. And so then the Pats continue to go heavy. That means you're playing Shaq and you're playing Joe Andreessen, which are linebacker, 4 and 5, 5 and 6, 4 and 6, however you want to label it. So things could have gotten ugly for them a little bit, but I do think this was a nice game from a run fit perspective. I'm hoping, really, really, really hoping this continues as they go forward against teams that are better running the football. But I thought that was a positive, like you said, silver lining or kind of, positive takeaway to have from this game, even though a lot really was just focused on Drake May and Stephon Diggs balling out and making stupid plays.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so one guy that stood out on that side of the ball was Greg Rousseau. He's getting healthy. I still don't think he's probably like 90%. And you can see that speed.
Yeah, he was moving. He was moving in this game.
Not just athletically. I thought he was playing very fast from the shoulders up. And so we want to break down some of his plays because he finished the game with 5 tackles, 5 stops, 3 pressures, obviously a sack there, 2 QB hits. He put together a really good game against the Patriots. So we're going to break down a few of his plays from this game. He's been taking some grief over the last few weeks from some Bills fans. And so I want to break down some of his film here and how he dominated tight ends, how he dominated tackles of the Patriots. So left side of the screen here, you're going to see him again up against the tight ends from the Patriots, not very good blockers. And you're going to see him just manhandle these guys from the backside here. Look at him just throw that tight end wherever he wants him, uses those long arms and that leverage and torque ability to discard the blockers there. And then a nice play by also Deion Walker up the middle, taking on the triple team essentially, and still disengaging to clog up the run up the middle.
Yeah, you want to see, we've said it before, and I've said it a bunch individually as well, any edge worth their salt should defeat a tight end, whether as a rusher or as a run defender. And Groot as a run defender is worth his salt times 1,000. So it didn't matter if you were getting Hunter Henry or Austin Hooper here. He's winning that. Both those guys are unmatched, and it looks that way. So a nice start for Rousseau, nice finish, physical, use your length, use your hands. And as he's discarding them, he's reading the running back's track. It's just so disrespectful. He's just chucking Hooper while reading Travion Henderson. It's okay, cool. Let me shoot, make this play. And then, shout out to Walker. He had a couple nice reps against some double teams in this game, which was also really encouraging.
Here's another rep. He's up against the tight ends, sets the edge, lets that guy kind of just overplay his block, disengages, and then goes and makes the tackle. And I also want to give a shout out to our boy Daquan Jones. Like,
he's been playing so good.
This is the best like set of games he's stacked together since his injury, essentially. Like, he has, look at the leverage he's playing with, how quick he is off the ball. Look at the pad level, the stacking ability, and then how they all just work together with Jones here. You see Bernard coming down. You see Rousseau disengaging. You see Daquan Jones coming down the line of scrimmage. Great work by Rousseau and the Bills defense on this run play to the, again, double tight, I formation. This is the play the Bills struggled with against the Ravens. So it's good to see some development and progress there.
Yeah, that zone lead was an issue for them, and it's nice to see them kind of course correct a little bit as we've gone forward. And yeah, I don't have too much to add. Just I really like how Jones has been playing, especially with how much 3-tech he's been at with Ed Oliver being down. And if Walker can solidify a little bit as a 1, that's cool, because Daquan Jones has looked like a dude again as that 3-tech, and he's seeing it a lot. We're going to see it again on this play here. He's just been working and providing some pass rush pop, providing some good run defense. He's smart, heady. It's nice to see the plays that he's making and just what he's meant to this defense.
Similar type play, 3-yard gain on this one. Bills essentially do their gap exchange, run blitz here, slanting these guys, and then bringing the linebacker over the top. Look at Rousseau work against Campbell. Get inside there, but understand the track of the running back and where the fullback is going there and where it's probably going to hit. So not only does he play that interior gap, which is his, he plays over the top of Campbell. And yes, long arms do matter sometimes. And he is able to stay clean and off of Campbell there and go make the tackle on the run back for, like I said, a minimal 3-yard gain.
He's so good at, especially when he's healthy, but even in general, like using his length to affect the run and his ability to kind of cover space and cover gaps with his strides or with his arm length. And you see him make contact with Campbell. He's in his gap, but like you said, he's reading it. It helps because he can essentially see right over Campbell because he's so tall, and just reads Travion Henderson. And they kind of needed it on this one. Bernard meets Jack Westover 37, but Bishop comes flying up, and you essentially kind of get 2 dudes in the same gap. Bishop recognizes it and spins out of it, but Henderson's just a little too far past him. So if Groot doesn't make this play, there's a chance that Henderson is through that line. We'd see if, Trey can close him down from the outside, or if Rapp makes that play coming from depth. But that had a chance in some daylight, and Rousseau shuts it down just by individually beating his man, reading the running back, and making a play.
Playing above the scheme there. That was a great work there. And he did a great job, not just on the interior runs, but on recognizing crack toss plays and getting outside. This is another play that has been hit or miss with the Bills over the years. On this play, they're trying to put, I believe that's a wide receiver on him.
That's Keyshawn Boutte.
Boutte, And so you see him, look at the hand usage, look where his hands are. He recognizes, he sees the pullers coming and the tight end going out in front, and then he just is fast. Look how fast he is down the line of scrimmage. That, I'm telling you, he's getting healthy, and you're starting to see that flashes of athleticism show up on top of the length and height and ability to shed.
I like the extra shove that he gives Boutte as he moves like down the line. He hits him like right in the chest and a little in the face. There's the initial like hands here and then a bang. Dude, stop working down the line. Like, get off me. Yeah, but that's like, look at the foot speed. Look how he's moving there. It's the processing that he has, but now because he's getting a little bit healthier, he's able to move a little bit. You saw multiple times in this game where he was making a beeline on May, kind of chasing him down, and then plays like this where he's essentially going from the hash to the sideline, works right down the line. This isn't him gaining ground and going from the 20 to like the 25. This is him working down the 20 to the 21 and kind of making that tackle, or I'm sorry, the 20 to like the 19 or the 18. You see him making that tackle right as he works down the line from the hash. That's a really nice play while being engaged again against a wide receiver, but that's him being worth his salt, moving his man, making the play.
Another crack toss, and watch the pursuit down the line of scrimmage. This time a tight end's trying to crack him inside, and you see him just use his hands and work over the top of that block. And then the concert between Matt Milano on this play, leveraging the play, forcing the cutback early in this game, getting outside that tackle that's pulling, the offensive lineman that's pulling, forcing it back, and then the speed once again from Greg Rousseau down the line of scrimmage. Man, he's coming back, and it feels like I know the coaching staff has asked him to step up a little bit. He stepped up in this game. He was one of the best players on the field throughout this entire game.
Yeah, you hit the big points, man. I like Milano working through the block of 76 and from the fullback, like doing what he can to stay on top of these blocks and kind of force that cutback, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And Rousseau gets pushed inside a little bit by Henry. He gets put behind the ball, but he's able to play through that shoulder and then good angle, strides, athleticism, chases down Ramondre, and Ramondre's a big dude, and Rousseau just drops him right away because he's a literal tree. That's a good play from Rousseau and a good setup there from Milano as well.
And final play of this breakdown, Rousseau pass rushing, getting the sack here, and some really cool stuff that I want to talk about here. One, we'll start with Rousseau, and then we'll get to Daquan Jones.
Oh, Daquan's is so cool.
So obviously they're mugging the gaps. They're showing pressure, but they end up dropping out and rushing 4. But look at the hand usage from Rousseau and how he wins the outside edge versus the tackle. But understanding that Drake May hit the top of his drop, and he doesn't want to just run right by him, right? He retraces up the pocket as May steps up. Keep that in mind. As May steps up, Rousseau retraces up the pocket and makes a sack. But let's rewind this to the coffeehouse stunt between Daquan Jones and Joey Bosa. Look at how they make this look like they're going to be running a twist or game here. Daquan's looking inside. Bosa's already committing inside with his body. And then Bosa spins outside. Daquan Jones then darts inside. And look what it did. Just that eye salesmanship right here. Look what it did to the guard. Look at what it did here. Watch him. Cool. Oh, we got to pass on this stunt. Oh, that's not coming. And so that's the pressure that Daquan Jones creates up the middle that causes May to step up into the pocket for Rousseau to clean up as he retraced the pocket. Man, this is some good stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff that the Bills haven't really done in the past. And so I love the mugged look. I love the pressure look. I love the, dropping out into coverage, getting 7 in coverage, and then running 4-man rushes, 4-man games or fake games to attack the protection, to attack the offensive lineman, to create pressure, to affect the quarterback, and ultimately bring down the sack, which is something that the Bills have needed over the last few years. And currently, guys, the Bills are ranked 5th in sack percentage at 8.9%. And this was one of those sacks this year. Promising stuff. Really, again, silver lining stuff for the Bills offense and defense in this game.
Yeah, this was on that first third down of the game. So encouraging. Give me mugged looks all day and the game's off of it. Show it and drop out. Show it and run a simulated pressure. Show it and bring 5 or bring 6. Just the protection manipulation you can go through, the gamesmanship. And this works out just so beautifully. Shout out to Groot for the retracing, like you mentioned. AJ Epinesa had a really nice retrace in this game. They were cognizant of that, and you had some dudes making plays. But yeah, Daquan essentially just crosses up. The timing is so good. It's so good. He looks like a point guard just with that little crossover hesitation dribble at the top of the paint just to get his man to step left so he can barrel right down the paint to the bucket. Like that's such a nice move. Well-timed, well-designed and called. Compromises the depth of the pocket, forces May to step up right into the retracing Rousseau. That's a hard thing to say 5 times fast. Retracing Rousseau. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, there were some. I think that was like a bigger frustration for me coming out of this game is that watching the tape, there were some fun things on defense, even from a coverage standpoint. I know the Bills' coverage hasn't been great, but there's reps for Benford and Trey White in this game where they're locked down in man and playing really good, and it just doesn't make the difference at the end of the day because May made some crazy plays and Diggs made some crazy plays to uncover and things just didn't go their way. And I think that was a little piece coming out of this game. Because I was like, man, like I feel kind of better about this, but I also don't because they lost. And it's kind of unfortunate kind of state of the world right now when it comes to the Bills.
Yeah, and some of the pass rush numbers are floating around. As I said, Bills are 5th in sack percentage. That's something we've wanted to see. Pressures the sack percentage. Pressure percentage, they're at 44.7%, second overall, according to True Media. Average time to pressure, though, 2.4%. That is, 2.4 seconds. Is second overall, according to True Media. So there are some cool statistics. I know you kind of keep track of those as well. Quick pressure pressure under 2.5 seconds. The Bills are ranked 6th in that department. And it's just interesting to see how it compares to prior years, because the Bills typically were one of the teams that was good at getting pressure quickly, but they didn't get it in abundance. And this year they are, which again makes me think that they're headed in the right direction when you think about, those type of numbers, when you talk about the injuries that to Ed Oliver, the suspensions to Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt, and those guys coming back soon. Again, I think there's some silver lining from this game, and the pressure stuff through the first 5 games is definitely something that I want to see. I just want to see the pressure not just affect the quarterback, but affect it to the point where now the corners and safeties can jump balls and trust that, hey, this is what I'm seeing. It's a quick game. Let me jump it and go make a play on the ball, because they haven't made plays on the ball as far as PBUs go on the back end in that secondary.
Yeah, there was somebody asked me last night during disguised coverage, and I looked it up. Like, they have 2 PBUs on the year. They only have 4 forced incompletions, which includes more things than just PBUs.
Right.
Both of those are last in the league. And it's funny with the PBUs, one of them is Trey White.
Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson, the breakup against Kamara. Like, it's just not great. Like, the guys who's made the most plays on the ball in the air is like Shaq Thompson and AJ Epinesa, like, at this point. And
batted passes, like, that's a separate stat. Some charting agencies, they kind of lump it together. So if we're talking pass breakups, you said 2.
True coverage pass breakups, it's 2. It's Shaq and it's Trey. And
crazy.
I think that's the big thing for me, like what you mentioned there. I'm hoping that getting Hoyt back, Ogunjobi back, a healthy Ed Oliver, and hopefully, a healthy Matt Milano at some point, or even Dorian Williams, though he won't impact this too much. I'm hoping that pressure translates to more connection between the rush and coverage, because there's still times where it's like, wow, that was a really great stunt where someone got in 2 seconds and ball's completed, or there's just a gap and it's an easy kind of. We saw it again. We saw it for the Dolphins. We saw it for the Saints. We saw it a little bit in this game with the Patriots, although it was more May being awesome than it was like anything else. But it's just, I would like to see it translate more to helping out the coverage and more marriage between coverage and rush. And that's something we talked about, that connection. We talked about Bobby Babbitt's verbiage for it. And you have this chart from True Media. They have some crazy pressure rates, especially compared to years past. And it would be nice if that translated more towards helping the connectivity on the back end and allowing them to play more aggressive, get some PBUs, get some turnovers, balls batted in the air, some kind of something to constrict airspace, because there's too much airspace on the back end and it's kind of negating what they're doing up front at times.
Right. So I talked about sack percentage and pressure percentage. This is the Bills here in this year, and compared to prior years, you can see they're doing something right. So some of the personnel changes, some of the schematic changes is really allowing them to create pressure and to affect the quarterback and bring down the quarterback currently, so far. And so I'm excited to see where this goes when they have all of the pieces that they invested in this offseason healthy, and especially considering Ed Oliver hasn't played. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. He played one game?
Week 1 against Baltimore, and he had a crazy good game.
Come on.
It would just be nice if you start to, again, no disrespect to anyone, but if you can trade out Mathis and Logue for Ed Oliver and Larry Ogunjobi and TJ Sanders, I still think they're going to have their issues at times in run defense, but if they can balance that out with run blitzes and numbers and putting offenses in a known passing down and distances and letting those dudes hunt and attack, potentially very exciting going down the road. And we'll see what they can do against the Atlanta Falcons, who have a good line, have a good run unit, have some good weapons, have a quarterback that's a bit up and down at this point, and Michael Penix, but it'll be a good test for this Bills defense. The Falcons are a quality unit. We're going to be in their house. So you got, a nice little track in the indoor facility there at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think, or is that New Orleans? Yeah, it might be.
So.
There we go. We'll call it that. Who cares? Be a nice little test. Like if their run defense holds up again against Bijan and Algier, and that run game, heavy zone, the Falcons run a ton of zone, and you know what they do? A ton of pistol. And those bastards run a ton of pistol, and it's awesome. But yeah, if they can hold up against those pass catching options and that run game and that line, start to build, go into that bye week, come out of the bye week with your suspended dudes back. Maybe Ed Oliver plays this week. Maybe he comes back after the bye and start to move forward. Erik, as we start to move forward and put a bow on this game, any final thoughts for the people, whether it's on this game, whether it's going forward? Is it a person, player, philosophies, maxims, ideologies, whatever you got on your mind, feel free.
No, if you guys haven't had a chance, and I know the fan base, it suffers. Like in creators, we suffer too when the team loses, and
Absolutely.
and a lot of you, we appreciate everyone joining us live, first of all. But I know a lot of you kind of tune out content earlier in the week, especially after a loss. And so if you haven't had a chance to get to the Cover One YouTube channel to check out the breakdown I did on Dalton Kincaid, get to the channel tonight sometime and take a look at that. I broke down a bunch of his plays. A couple we have covered in this film room, but more in-depth stuff there as well when it comes to that. Then just again, thank you for joining us live, and if you watch it later, thank you for watching later. And more importantly, if you can't watch it on YouTube. You can find this podcast on all podcast platforms, and we appreciate all the support.
Absolutely. If you folks are watching here on YouTube live or post live, please, thank you. Drop a like on this video. If you enjoyed it, turn on notifications for the Film Room playlist, subscribe to the Cover One channel and the multitude of shows that we have across the entire brand. Like Erik said, if you're listening on one of the podcasting apps and platforms, rate, review, and subscribe. And word of mouth is always tremendously appreciated here at the brand. If you enjoyed this, tell your family, friends, loved ones, if they like football, if they like analysis, if they like film breakdowns, if they like the Bills, whatever it is, give us a shout and recommendation if you feel comfortable doing so. Whatever form or fashion your support comes in, we are tremendously thankful for it and tremendously appreciative of it. That'll do it for us here in this episode of the Cover One Film Room. We hope you folks enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening. Any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, get at us on Twitter, get at us in the comments here on YouTube. If you're an insider, get at us in the Discord. Whatever you folks got, we are here for you. And that'll do it for myself, Anthony Prohaska, for the godfather of Cover One, Mr. Erik Turner. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. We will see you when we see you. Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.